Hey, not a financial advisor Dan here, and today we're having a long interview with Polytrade. We're going to find out how Polytrade works, we're going to talk about the team, and we're going to walk through the platform and the business model. Everything you need to know about Polytrade is going to be in this interview, so stick around for the whole thing. And if you want to hit that like button now, that would help this channel out immensely. All right, let's go.
Thanks, Danny, for giving us a chance to explain about Polytrade. So myself, Piyush Gupta, I'm the founder and CEO of Polytrade. I've been into business of trade finance for the last 8 years, of course, into traditional space. Raised more than $500 million for my clients, largely acquiring from Asia. And the idea of Polytrade was to kind of bring blockchain into the ecosystem of trade finance and how we can harness the crypto liquidity, which is, by the way, tremendous liquidity available today, and channelize it in the right form to bring it into the real world, right? So, and bringing this additional liquidity into real world would help us solve a lot of problems which exist currently into trade finance space, right? So, in last 8 years, we have witnessed so many problems faced by SMEs, and all of us know that SMEs are the backbone of any country. So if they get an additional liquidity for working capital, that will help the economy to grow much faster. So we have seen firsthand these problems, and we wish to solve these problems using Polytrade as a platform. Okay, so I'll will go more on the project. Let my other colleagues also introduce themselves.
Okay, real quick, what is a SME? I'm not familiar with that term.
When I talk SME, it's small and medium enterprises.
Oh,
So
okay, got it. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's the small and medium businesses that need that extra financial support to
exactly.
fulfill orders, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, Walmart won't need our money because Walmart have tons of banks lined up
yeah.
for them, right?
Hmm.
It is the smaller manufacturers who needs our help. So that
Hmm.
is what we are building our platform for.
Got
Arul,
it.
over to you.
Sure. Hey, great to meet you with your whole community, and hi to everyone. Arul here, and have 15 years of 15 or plus years of experience around implementing enterprise grade systems for a lot of Fortune 500 companies. Largely, I work at the place where business and technology kind of meet. We try to achieve business goals using the best of what the technology has to offer, right? So been in the crypto space for the last 4 years or so, and for the last 1 year decided to let go of a decent career that I've been having, and come full time into the crypto space because I believe this is the way to stay more relevant for the next decade or so, right? And obviously, got in touch with the Polytrade team as such, and it was really exciting. And the kind of problem that we are trying to solve was very interesting, and the opportunity of what can be done in terms of what the options are, what are the different types of solutions that we can bring to a non-crypto network like a small and medium enterprise, right? You wouldn't expect a manufacturer or anyone to understand how crypto will actually impact their life, and being able to bring this crypto to actually impact real world business lives is what kind of excited me, and I'm seeing it happen every day. So very excited to be here. Ashutosh.
Thank you. Great introduction.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So nice to meet you, Dan. Hello, everybody. So I have about, again, 15 years of experience in sales and marketing and in real world businesses across FMCG, IT, manufacturing. So what I really do is build brands and find the purpose for the existence of brands. And obviously, when I spoke to, Arul and I are from the same college. He is a few years senior, and we have been in the crypto space since 2016, and we have been in regular touch. So when again got in touch with the Polytrade team, met Piyush, the it was really inspiring, the kind of problem that he is trying to solve, right? And he has this immense understanding at the grassroots level of the problems that we are trying to solve. And if you look at any global economy today, what it thrives on is manufacturers. And if you look at the manufacturing economy, it is mostly these small and medium enterprises. Yes, some large brands do have their own manufacturing setup, but mostly the world thrives on contract manufacturing and outsourcing to developing economies. And in times of corona or global crisis, it is usually these SMEs who are most affected. And if you look at the employment rates globally, and if you look at the unskilled labor employment rates in the SME sector in the developing economy, most of them are employed, and their household runs because they have jobs with these small and medium enterprises. Now, when there is a pandemic of this nature, or when there is a global event, it is this segment who suffers. So what we are really trying to do is use the novelty of blockchain, tap into the DeFi lending pools, and solve a real world problem which is directly affecting the GDP of nations, directly affecting the livelihoods of families in developing economy. And that was a very inspiring, because I had not done anything like that until now, and that is what kind of motivated me to come on board, look after marketing activities, and campaign planning, and growth overall from a community perspective as well. So that's what I do.
Okay, let's talk about Polytrade. If someone can just give us like an overview from like your side, so the viewers can get like an understanding of what it is, how they can use it, why they should be interested.
Yep, sure. So, Danny, this is what we are trying to make Polytrade as a platform, a protocol where people can deposit their stable coins to generate, stable yields which are not affected by the cyclicity of the crypto market, right? Bear market or bull market, it won't matter, because the money which they are putting into lending pools will eventually be used for real world financing, right? So the rate of the stability rate, the stable coin yield will not vary much with the ups and downs in the market. Now, being said that, we are also creating our client portal where the borrowers can come on board themselves and provide all the details and invoices very smoothly without really getting impacted by what is happening at the back end, right? See, as a borrower, he is not concerned whether it's a blockchain platform or whether it's a stable coin liquidity, right? What he's interested in is getting the liquidity. He just need money against his invoice. So we have created our borrowing portals, very simple, very intuitive, and so that a very small medium enterprise who doesn't really understand much can simply get onboarded and get avail this facility. Likewise, we have all the service provider protocols which are kind of integrating with our main platform. So whether we have to do KYC, whether we have to do AML checks, whether we have to do credit checks, every single function can happen into the central console through third parties. Okay. Now, if you understand how our trading happens, so there is a borrower, there is a supplier who is manufacturing the goods. He's selling to a large customer in US, let's say Walmart, right? So we also are building a portal for Walmart in this example, so that Walmart can all at any point of time know what invoices are being due and what he has to settle, right? And in future, that leads us to a bigger project, which is reverse factoring, in which we will go to the likes of Walmarts and we will ask them to give all their small suppliers to us. So that's a much bigger plan and a much bigger play. But that's definitely at the later stages. But we are creating the infrastructure today itself to enable that in future, right? So that's to give you how the platform is basically operating.
Just to add on to that, right? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just to add on to that, see, we've seen, we've all worked with centralized finance. We understand how those things work because it's been with us for quite a few centuries as such, right? And then now for the last few years or so, we understand how decentralized finance works. Now, what happens is decentralized finance is completely made for the digital world as such. So we need mechanisms which are going to build bridges between both of those, right? Which are going to connect between the CeFi and the DeFi world as such. So Polytrade sits somewhere in between, right? Wherein we are trying to solve a centralized finance world problem using the benefits of what DeFi has to offer as such. right? So that's like, there are not very many people who are trying to solve this specific problem with the way that we are solving. There are a few other initiatives which are working around how do I convert real world assets into digital and actually pass ownership online and so on. But we are specifically focused on the space of receivable financing on invoice as such, right? So the concept is very simple. Again, kind of putting what Piyush said in a very different fashion. You have on one side lenders, the same way that they would interact with protocols like Aave or Compound. They deposit money to receive a certain yield. So once they deposit money, we create a certain corpus of pool of funds. Say we collect 100 million. That 100 million is taken and deployed in real world finances in the centralized finance mechanisms, right? We earn a certain APR from there. What those returns are given back to the investors in the DeFi space. So that's like the how the whole protocol as such works. Now, because we are deploying this in the centralized finance world, there are a lot of regulatory norms that we need to follow in terms of how world trade actually works, right? So, for example, if I were to provide a centralized finance mechanism to certain sanctioned countries, I'm not allowed to by law, right? By law of the land that almost be it Singapore or be it India or most of the countries, I'm not supposed to finance invoices which probably come from a certain region of the world. Unfortunately, because we're working on CeFi, DeFi, we have to comply to those norms. Right. So we look at those invoices, we evaluate whether those invoices are actually fundable or not. We identify whether, is this really a manufacturer who has a manufacturing plant set up in Delhi, right? Or does he actually have an invoice? We go talk to Walmart. We take that invoice. We ask Walmart if, this is an invoice that you have financed. Are you sure? Okay, then if you're okay that you're willing to pay us after 90 days, we will fund that money to him today, right? So it's like a lot of checks and balances that needs to be done from a centralized world to make sure that a transaction happens on the decentralized world as such. And the question comes, why are we even using decentralized finance if there are these as such, right? So I'll try to give the benefits on two sides. One of the biggest hindrances for the small and medium enterprises or small and medium businesses is usually the ticket sizes, right? The ticket sizes, the invoice sizes are probably to the size of, say, $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000. Now, in terms of centralized finance solution that are currently existing, you have large players, large banks, which finance invoices. But to them, the cost of performing that particular transaction, immaterial of it be 10,000 or a $10 million kind of an invoice, is more or less same, right? So they are financially more it's financially more beneficial for them to go for higher ticket sizes. So they do not want to deal with the complications of SMB segment, right? But that's a big chunk. So by 2025, the unaddressed market of the small and medium businesses financing is expected to be around $2.5 trillion, right? That's unaddressed market. It's not addressed market. And that's exactly what we are trying to tap into to provide liquidity to this particular segment of small and medium businesses. So that's from a business perspective. Now, from a lender perspective, think of it this way, that how many of the viewers probably have heard of invoice receivable financing without being actually engaged in such a business as such, right? People who have worked with finance industry, who have worked with SMB segment, who've heard of this product earlier, used this product before, would have heard of it, but not otherwise. And this is a very high yield, short cycle kind of a return product, which typically is not available as an asset class to a lot of investors. Right? So you and me as an individual in the real world might not be able to get an exposure to an asset class which is going to give you returns within 90 days with a rate of say 8% or 12%. This changes again geography to geography, but at a high level, this is the range that it operates. So we are able to provide access to a real world asset class for a huge set of customers, the lenders from a DeFi space. Right? So that kind of removes the implications of national boundaries. So I, as an investor from, say, Botswana or from Sri Lanka, can actually invest in an invoice from a company like Walmart or Macy's or any other large company as such, right? So it gives me a different kind of an asset class exposure. And the second thing is, I do not need to take my money out of the crypto markets into the real world to get an exposure to this kind of an asset class, right? So sitting inside the crypto market, I'm investing in a real world asset which doesn't have the cyclicity of bull and bear phases of
Right.
The crypto winters as such. So what you see right now on stable market pools across Aave Compound, and there are many other pools right now which give stable coin returns. They are right now at a higher rate, right? They're giving 10%, 12%, 14%, and Aave Compound probably gives it about 2 to 3%. But if you just rewind back about 1.5, 2 years back, these are all abysmal numbers. They were at like 1%, 1.2%, 1.5%. But for us, because the returns and yields are coming from real world businesses, we will always be able to give returns to the likes of about 8 to 10%. And that's the goal. So for when you invest with Polytrade using stablecoin pools, doesn't matter whether you have Bitcoin at 40,000, 20,000 or 400,000, the kind of returns on stable coins are always going to be there. And all of that sitting inside the crypto space without taking it back to your fiat money account. So that also is a big advantage as such, Dan. Sorry, it was a long response, but
no, that's very good. So the interest investors can expect if they put in their stable coins would be in the 8 to 10% range, like pretty consistently.
That is right. Yeah.
Okay.
We intend to have, obviously, because we have Polytrade Token. Also, we would be obviously incentivizing earlier pools that are extremely high returns to make sure that more and more people get to know us and start using us. But the stable coin returns as such will be at 8 to 10%. Overall, the returns could be anywhere about 20%, which includes a combination of stable coins plus Polytrade tokens.
Okay, so up to 20% with combination of the Polytrade token. Do you think you can talk about the Polytrade token? Like, what is it used for? Like how it will be integrated into the economy, the platform?
Sure. So Polytrade token for us is kind of the fuel on which the whole process is going to work, right? Now, like Piyush had mentioned, there are different entities involved in the overall space of a process from start to end. You have the lender, you have the borrower or the SMB, the manufacturer, you have the buyer like Walmart, who will also be part of the network. Then there is a whole community who's also part of it, right? So from a lender perspective, lenders are always going to get incentivized with Polytrade tokens, apart from stable coins, whenever they give stable coins to Polytrade as such, right? That is one. Second is when it comes to borrowers or the SMB segment of folks, they will have to pay fees for the protocol using trade token, right? So they might have to buy those tokens from the markets, or we will facilitate it within our platform to buy Polytrade tokens on the application itself and use that to as fees to actually get the invoice financed, right? This might seem like a little bit of roadblock for people who don't understand crypto, but that's a part of how we have designed the user experience, that you don't need to understand crypto to actually transact with crypto. So we can talk about that. The third one was about buyers, right? So what we're trying to do is incentivize brands like Walmart to actually use our platform and get incentivized with trade tokens. Now, if you understand, the retail business as such, retail is a very wafer thin margin, right? They operate at about 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 kind of percent when it comes to very core product categories as such. And we are looking at giving a discount of almost 0.1% back to Walmart whenever they're going to pay a bill which has been processed via Polytrade as such, right? So if there is an invoice of say $100, they would be getting back a certain sum of say 10 cents back to them as a reward for using the platform. Now this again creates two things. It increases the stickiness of the brand to start using Polytrade, and also they would start referring us to their other set of manufacturers or other set of suppliers that they have. That's with the buyers as such. Fourth thing was with respect to community. Community is a very important concept. Here again, the way that we have built Polytrade, I mean, this is again one of the very unique concepts of how we are trying to work on this. Most lending protocols have a smart contract insurance, and that's where it ends, right? So if something goes with wrong with the smart contract, you could probably go and claim insurance as such. Now, in our case, the funds are actually deployed in the real world, right? Which means that we have the ability to take an additional loan in the real world. Now, this additional insurance in the real world. This insurance is called as a credit insurance, right? And this is again a well-established product in the real world. So whenever we finance an invoice, we also take a credit insurance against that particular invoice. So, which means that if tomorrow Walmart goes bankrupt or they're unwilling to pay, the insurance company will actually pay us against that particular invoice. Right, so that's like a dual protection kind of functionality that we have in this particular financial product. Right now, the other side of it is the crypto side of smart contract and other side of protection. Right, where we will be taking insurance from the likes of say Nexus Mutual or Tidal Finance with whom we are talking, but also the community can actually put in their tokens, stake their tokens as part of our protocol, and start getting certain percentage fees of whatever the borrowers are paying, the protocol fees. They will be getting a percentage fees out of it. But in return, the fund that they are accumulating over here will become a cushion for insurance, right? If you have seen there is a concept called as a safety fund in Aave's protocol, where people can deposit Aave tokens, and if at all something happens, the governance council takes a call that can we use these staked Aave tokens to compensate to all the lenders. It's a very similar concept. People can deposit trade tokens. If anything goes wrong with the Polytrade platform, our first liability is to pay the lenders who are given us stable coins, right? So we will use these trade coins to give the money back to the lenders, and that will only be done after governance council vote and approval process actually goes on. So for all of these things to happen, trade token kind of plays a pivotal role across the whole chain.
Got it.
And just maybe to add a small point there as well, Dan, by incentivizing the buyer with trade tokens, what we are enabling is for large brands to start having a crypto wallet, right? Or a crypto fund kind of a thing. That is where they are earning their incentives. Now, if you have noticed what is happening in the metaverse, companies like Walmart, Nike, Adidas, they are betting big on metaverse and starting to enter the metaverse. And obviously, metaverse is going to require cryptocurrencies to thrive. So it is kind of aiding a dual purpose here, because the incentives that they earn by using the Polytrade platform in the form of trade token potentially can contribute to their spends pool in the metaverse when it comes to metaverse transaction. And obviously we are also coming up, and which Arul will speak about later, with Polytrade Meta, which is enterprise to enterprise protocol to enable trade and transactions in the metaverse. So it is kind of very futuristic as well. So that is another futuristic aspect of incentivizing the buyer with trade tokens.
Yes, I want to go over an example of that. But first, regarding the companies getting the trade token, potentially would there be any like regulatory issues, like Walmart, a US company, if they're seen like trading these tokens or having it in their wallet, if that would cause some kind of issue with the SEC and Polytrade? Because I don't know if they necessarily want that reputation. They definitely love branding and all that, but I don't know if a company wants to be known as trading cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So the way that we've done that, right, is that, like I said, again, trade token will actually enable the whole process to be done much more smoothly and efficiently, right? And when we don't use the trade token, the kind of incentives that the network participants are going to get is going to get reduced. So yes, they can continue to use the platform without actually using the trade token, but whenever they are doing it, basically means that in the backend, Polytrade, the central system that we're building, is actually going to do that task for them. So from a Walmart perspective, they can think of it that they're not interacting with a cryptocurrency based system, but if they do that, they're probably going to get a discount of say 0.1%. So it's in their benefit to actually start using it. From a US regulation perspective, we've cleared through the entire Howey test. We have got legal opinions multiple times, and that's how we're getting listed on multiple US focused exchanges as well. So we don't believe that is going to be a challenge as such. We're clearly positioned as a utility token as such, and nothing else. Right?
I see.
We don't believe it should be a challenge as such.
Okay, so let me just try to convert what you're saying into like how I think what's going on. So the company doesn't have to actually interact with the trade tokens. If they just leave it in their wallet, that automatically enables them to get those future discounts or rewards. So it's kind of like their own little rewards program built into the system.
Yes.
I see. Got it. And more on the MetaMask TradeFi thing. So I was researching that a little bit, and I kind of was trying to wrap my head around that. So, for example, let's say I have a Bored Ape. I want to sell this Bored Ape NFT because I want to buy a CryptoPunk. Would I be able to use Polytrade services to like, hey, I need some financing. This is my collateral, and this is the trade that I'm going to do. Is that how it's going to work in the metaverse, or?
So I mean, yeah, metaverse is a much more evolved version of what we've explained at Polytrade level, right? Metaverse, how we're starting with metaverse is a very simple approach, Daniel. Is that imagine the same ecosystem which exists today among crypto companies, right? So let's take an example of Polygon. Now, Polygon today has monthly $3 million worth of payments, which they are doing to their vendors, right? And half of these vendors do not even send the invoice, right? You know how crypto ecosystem works. So you give me your wallet address on Telegram chat and I'll simply transfer you the money, right? Now, as an enterprise, for my accounting standards, I would prefer an invoice coming from a vendor, right? But that simply doesn't exist today. So our idea is that, first of all, let us bring this whole system to the crypto space, which currently doesn't exist, right? So it starts from a simple invoice management platform where Dan would find out that there is Polygon, a customer, a buyer is there. He will select the buyer. He will put his wallet address. He will select the currency. He will put the amount and generate invoice, right? Now imagine this invoice is generated on chain. So it will immediately reach Polygon. Polygon has to approve it. The moment Polygon approves it, Polytrade will finance you, will pay that invoice, right? And that necessarily means that now we will recover that money from Polygon on the due date, right? So much hassle of accounting department of one company like Polygon will get resolved by this product. Imagine their accounts department have to do these $3 million worth of payments to small to mid-sized vendors across the month, managing their wallet addresses, giving them transaction hash, everything, and then keeping a track of it, right?
Yeah.
Today, at the month end, they will simply make one payment of $3 million to Polytrade. That's it, right?
All right. So I worked for Binance for several months in their social media department, and this was a very common problem. It's just interacting one by one, getting the address, following up, and sometimes if something was missed, the person would be mad. They would follow up. They'd have to research everything. There is no invoicing system.
There's so much manpower goes waste in this particular thing, and one small mistake, and you will lose the money also. Right? Yeah. One wallet address wrongly pasted in your MetaMask and you lose the money, right? All that headache will be Polytrade's going forward. And we would charge a very small fee for doing that to Polygon example, right?
Yeah.
Now, just to give you where this whole idea is taking shape now, Polygon has agreed to become our first flagship customer, right?
Oh, so that's awesome. That's very big.
Exactly. So when Polygon comes on board and he gives us his 100 vendors to start using our platform, imagine how quickly we will evolve and we will expand into the crypto ecosystem. Because tomorrow that will lead Solana to users, Chainlink to users. I mean, you can talk about every project in future, and everybody is facing the same problem, right?
Yes.
So exchanges, market makers, audit companies, everybody will start.
Yeah, anyone doing a giveaway, they run into this issue.
Exactly. So that's the very basic idea of Polytrade Meta, which is being launched. And then Polytrade Meta has a lot of other developments for futuristic purposes, which you asked in the question, that what if there is an NFT trade going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fantastic example, right? So you bought NFT, or you might have rented your particular NFT to go into a metaverse party, and you will return that NFT back to the owner, right? All those payment solutions can be addressed through. So what Polytrade Meta, in one line, what we are building is bringing commerce to the metaverse, right? Or addressing the commerce in the metaverse. That's what Polytrade Meta will be doing all.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It will be interesting to see how it evolves.
That answers like all of my questions. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about that people should know about Polytrade?
Arul, you have anything? I wish that if Ashish can show you a very quick demo of how the screens.
Oh yeah. Yeah, would love to see it.
Yeah. Okay.
So Dan, Ashish is our in-house magician who converts our plans to practical things.
Okay.
So he's a product manager as such, right? So he designs the whole thing. Go ahead, Ashish.
Perfect. Hey Dan, nice to meet you. I think I cannot share my screen because it's disabled by the host.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me. There you go. I think it should work now.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to show you are two products that we have built up till now.
Okay.
These are on testnet as we speak. And the first one I will show you is the lender side. I think we've given a brief explanation about it. This is where we expect the people to come and deposit their stable currencies. The second portal I will show you is the borrower side, where we expect the SMEs to come in and update us about their invoices and what loans they want. Okay. So I'm going to start with the lender side. So as a lender, what we're trying to do is the first step is a Magic Link login. We're using Magic Link for our basic logins. And this is the one-step login. Once you have logged in, you will reach our home pages. The first thing we instigate you is to do your KYC. All the data is being pulled out from blockchain. You can see all the pools that are currently available to invest in. If there is any active lendings that you've done, you'll be able to see them here. You can see your calculator. You can select, let's say, for example, you can play around here. You can select which pool you want to go into, and this will show what reward you will get over this tenure. You can also select some other coin and see what rewards are there in these pools. We have a wallet. This is connected directly with Venly. The moment you're done with your KYC, you'll be allowed to do your wallet. You'll be allowed to create it. We have a history page. This is again pulled from the Venly history that you will create. So we're using Synapse for KYC. I will quickly do my KYC and move forward from here. So this needs to be in a secure browser, which it will be on the mainnet. Until then, we can do it here. If there are any questions, you can ask me.
So everyone using the platform will be required to go through KYC. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is right, Dan. Yeah.
Okay.
So Dan, like I was saying, right? I mean, this sits in the cusp of centralized finance and decentralized finance. So it's very important to follow the regulatory norms that are set for funding of invoices across the world. So it is important. KYC is one of those key elements, because at the end of the day, this money is going to go into fiat bank accounts and to the small and medium businesses as such, right? And bank accounts are very wary about where the money is coming from. We need to have a trail of cash to be shown as to where the funds are coming from. So KYC is essential in this case.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to set the expectations for viewers, but having to go through KYC does bring up a lot of the legitimacy to like where everything is going.
Right. Correct.
So once you have done this, you will be able to see the pending status over here. As I've done my liveness, this shows approved. I can go to Synapse, go to my sandbox. Now I can go to profile and see my overall system is approved. Now I'll be able to create my wallet. Wallet is again a one-click process. I can just press create wallet and my wallet will be created. So now that I have my wallet, I'll need to approve these limits. Before that, let me just add some tether here. I will copy this address, go to my system and system. So that time I will just surround this, all this data, as we said, we're getting it from blockchain. This is the total current liquidity with us. These are the amount of invoices that we have funded over this period. This is the current trade price. I think.
So basically, Dan, this is to give the view to users as to how much money have we actually consolidated till date, and how much of that money has actually been used to fund real world businesses, right? So that's what that particular view gives in terms of invoices funded. Invoices funded basically means that we financed, deployed that amount of cash in real world businesses.
All right. Okay. I have a question about this. So let's say I want to fund some invoices. Would that be per invoice, or is it just like a financial pool and then I can just withdraw at any time?
It's a pool at this point, Dan. We did look at what can we do to make it at a per invoice basis. While launching, we're going to launch a very different mechanism as such. We're going to go with the first set of invoices that we have. We will probably give a little bit of transparency in terms of where the invoices are from and what the invoices are, and people can decide whether they want to put against that particular invoice as such, right? Well, that is the initial idea. But the whole concept, the way that it works is that it goes into a pool, and from that pool it gets deployed. Right now, one of the biggest chunks, for people who work with the financial industry, is the whole concept of treasury management. Right? If I have a big corpus of cash sitting, how often do I need to move it? Where do I need to deploy, etc., etc. So those are all treasury management concepts that over time we want to integrate as part of smart contracts and completely automate that as well. But for now, it is not a per invoice, but it is a pool where the money goes and we take the money and we deploy it against that invoice. That's how it goes.
I see. So as the user, I would just be parking my money there. I'm just going to earn interest. How often is the interest paid out? Is there a lockup time? Can I withdraw it at any time?
Yeah, I think Ashish will just show that now.
So now that I have my balance, I can approve my coin for lending. Perfect. Now I've approved my coin. I can go to the home page.
Ashish, why don't you walk through some of these parameters that are listed here?
Sure. So we have our coin name and the total APY, which is, so we have a standard APY, a bonus APY. The standard APY is given out in the stable coin itself. The bonus APY is given out in trade coins. We can also assign some extra percentage to a particular user, which I will just show you in the second round. This is where the lock-in period is. This is the duration. You cannot withdraw money before this time period. After this, we will automatically send this into your Bentley wallet. The minimum lock-in amount is here. The amount that is filled within the pool is over here. What is the pool size is here. Right? This is the maximum the pool can take.
Okay. For APY, that would be a total of 4.7% someone would be earning. Is that correct?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Because on the left it says 4%. I'm just wondering if that's just
I guess
like rounded.
It will be round. It will be two decimal places. We've just
I think when you click on Lend now, you'll be able to see that. Go ahead, Ajay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just wanted to understand if that's total you're getting, or if it's like you're getting either standard or bonus. So that is the total amount. So you add both together.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's say, take an example of this one. This says 10, and you get a total of 20.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different pool, right?
Yeah, this is a different pool. I'm opening Tether.
This is the second pool.
I've just opened Tether for myself. I will add in, let's say, $1,000. The minimum I can put in is 1. The available amount is high. The filled amount is 94,000 here. I will end on 20th. I will get my money back on 22nd. It's a 60-day pool. I will just approve my terms and conditions.
Just hold on here, Ashish. Just hold on.
Yeah.
So, Dan, to answer your earlier question around tenure or how it can be unlocked. See, the thing is that this is not like the typical DeFi products where the cash is lying within the DeFi ecosystem in terms of collateral and so on, right? The small and medium businesses are actually getting the funding without a collateral. They are getting it by handing over the invoice that they're supposed to get at a later point in time. So which basically means that we will be getting access to that particular capital only after 60 days. So which is why the money that goes into this pool is locked for 60 days. After 60 days is when that unlock will happen. And when you get it back, you will get it with the additional APR as well. right? So it is like locked for certain tenure of invoices as such, because some invoices come with 90 days, some come with 60 days, and so on. So in this case, it's a 60-day pool that we are actually showing you.
I see. So for me to optimize the return I'm getting, as soon as one contract's done, I'd have to sign up for another one, or is there a way to automate that process?
So, correct. So in this version, so that's basically redeployment of funds. Now in the subsequent version that we're going to have in a month or so, we will be enabling that feature as well, right? Which basically means that as a user, you do not need to keep coming every 60 days and keep clicking fund, right? So you just put a tick on a redeploy, and after every 60 days, the system will automatically check the currency that you have and the best possible APR that is available, and accordingly map those funds over there. And one of the things, like I told you, is the part about the insurance as well, right? Mm-hmm. So if you see here, we've kind of called it out as coming soon, but we're trying to create a very small mini marketplace for insurance services over here, right? So typically, what happens is people go buy a particular, say you lock your funds on Aave or Compound, and then you go to Nexus Mutual and say that, in this wallet address, I've actually taken a loan, and you take an insurance cover, right? Whereas here, we're going to give a tick box kind of a thing. So a user can just click on a radio button for Title Finance or for Nexus Mutual or anyone, and automatically buy the insurance right here within the transaction itself as such. So it's kind of we're creating a marketplace model for insurance service providers within this.
So what happens if I don't get insurance and the funds don't get paid back? Do I lose my investment?
Yeah, so there are, like I said, there are almost 2 to 3 layers, right? One is your smart contract insurance that I talked about, which is what is we showing here in the screen. The second is the staking insurance itself that we have, which is trade token holders who are staking and so on. That's the second layer. The third layer is that it is going to be deployed in the real world, and we have credit insurance, right? So when you have it, at a core, you will always have credit insurance, which is being deployed from a real world perspective. But if the user doesn't intend to buy an insurance here, he still is covered with 2 insurances, one of the trade token staking pool and the other of the credit insurance. So it's just a layer on top of layer as such.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out, if I'm already covered, why would I spend more money to get the insurance?
Yeah, it's so. People are always wary about, will I lose my money, right?
I see.
So this becomes a third-party entity which is outside our systems, because if you understand the trade staking and the credit insurance is something that Polytrade completely has to run and manage. But something like a Nexus Mutual or a Title Finance getting integrated over here makes it a third party also. So even if we were to go corrupt, you still have another entity from an external party who will be able to make sure that the investments are protected.
I see. Okay, I get it. So yeah, that extra layer of coverage.
That's right.
How much would someone expect this insurance cost to be in the future?
Yeah, so typically it is anywhere between 1.5% to 4-5% or so. It depends on the size and the popularity of the protocol itself. But I would say 2% is something that you can definitely expect it to.
2% of your total investment, or 2% of your of the investment
of your total coverage. So you could invest $1 million, but you could only take a coverage for say $100,000. So for $100,000, you need to pay say 2% out of it.
I see. So the first 100,000 is covered. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Then that's really good. But let's say it's $1 million pool, and you only put $1,000 in. That person who put in $1,000 is okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So this is when we update the blockchain about the lending details and create a round. Perfect. Lending successful. So if you go to the active lending session, you will be able to see the lend that you've just created, the amount that I've just added, the days that I've secured. This is a 60-day counter, and the moment it increases, it will increase your interest also. You can further deep dive into your details over here, where you can see the amount in dollars, the redemption dates, the APYs, and the days that you've acquired, right? The status of your thing, and the transaction ID for Polyscan.
You can open up the transaction hash and show all the testnet Polygon scan.
Yeah, I can share it on testnet.
So this basically is kind of the transaction hash for the lending activity that has actually happened here.
And you can see the amount, the bonus APY that was given, that you're paying in trade, the address, The stable coin and those APIs are already in the smart contract. We don't need to send them. All those data are fetched from the smart contract.
So that's more or less the kind of cycle that the lenders typically would have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
You also see this number will also get updated now with the lend that we've created. I think the smart it was 131 and 132.
Mm-hmm.
I think the video will have the proof.
Yeah.
So that's our lending portal.
Very cool. Looking forward to it, to getting in on this.
Good.
So
Dan, do you want to also walk through the client portal, which is the system where the small and medium businesses would actually go and punch in their invoices?
Yeah. I'd like to know, how does a small business get started with Polytrade?
Also, this is the admin side. I will just log in here. This is how we are managing lenders. This is the pools that we're creating, the bonus APYs. I will just show you one example. I can add this particular user here, and this person is getting 10% extra. If I go back now and refresh this page, I'll be able to see 10% extra for this user personally. So we can reward users according to their behaviors. If they are more loyal and they are higher trade holders, we can give them better APYs.
Oh, wow.
So I will just create a new one. I will just open the lender portal. So to shift to the client borrower side, the first step of this particular journey is to register yourself as a new company. Before that, again, we do the validation of, once we have done this, you'll be able to log in.
So Ashish, what you should do is just show the different stages through which the invoice goes, right? And use that as a point to talk about. Otherwise, the video might go a bit too long, right? We'll just talk about, what is a journey of an invoice as such in the system, and that should use that to explain the process.
So I'll just fly through these ones.
Yeah.
So I've just added my basic details. Now I'm adding my company details here.
So Arun, should we also mention about the white labeling aspect, the way we are growing distribution, and therefore how this will get adapted and all of that?
Okay, so yeah, we can add that probably as a separate point after the demo as such. So then you'd see that all the forms that are being used in this this basically is what we call as the client onboarding platform, right? So the client in this case is a small and medium business owner, and he's going to come and put in all the details pertaining to himself, his own identity, his company details, and so on. So you would see that even though we are trying to capture most of this from a blockchain perspective in the backend, from a user perspective, it is just as he's filling any web form on a website as such, right? So that's how simple that we've tried to make sure that it is for him as such.
Got it. Now, how are people gonna find out about this service? I think this is gonna be very difficult.
Yeah. So I mean, that's exactly what we were just discussing regarding the white labeling. So see how the space work. Piyush, maybe you want to touch upon the how we expand across geographies.
Yeah, for sure. Then idea is that we have been active into Asian market for so long. We are starting with this basically we have almost like 3,000 odd customers who we have been serving for so many years. So we are starting from our economy, basically from India and Southeast Asia, and then we have been partnering with. We have been talking to various partners in other geographies. Like we have secured the partnership with the Marcofi, which is one of the largest lenders in Latin America. So we will be dealing with them. Then again, we are talking to somebody in US. So our idea is to go in the phased manner into various geographies where we can find right partner to partner with. So it will be a gradual flow, but it will give us a lot of diversity in terms of our risk, and also the rates vary in different markets. So we'll be able to average up our rates much better.
I see. Yeah, just because educating an older industry on this seems like it'll be a challenge. Like, all right, this is what it is. It's cryptocurrency. Don't be afraid to learn it, but it makes everything easier.
Yep.
But I think for these SMEs, they really don't need to understand it's cryptocurrency. For them, it's as simple as ABC. I think they've done this process a lot of times, and it's.
So I mean, even from again adding on to what Piyush had just mentioned, right? While we will start off with India as a market because we've been operating here and we financed close to $500 million worth of invoice in the last few years. So we already have a certain feet on street, so to say, right? So we already understand the market, we know the players and so on. But this is going to be a international platform. We want to capture into other SMB focused markets as well, be it Southeast Asia, be it LATAM, even US and Europe, which has these kind of products which are very popular as such, right? So all of those places we have partnerships that we are building with similar kind of companies such as us, but who are into traditional space, right? They're not in the cryptocurrency space. So we would kind of provide them our platform to onboard their customers. So for example, if you see even in the screenshot that Ashish is showing right now, the logo on the top left side is 9-1, right? 9-1 basically is the distribution company who is going to help us onboard the customers onto our platform as such, onto Polytrade. So while you have on the front end, a company like 9-1 who is taking the customers and onboarding them, on the back end, the whole engine is being powered by Polytrade, right? Because 9-1 is a real world business which has to comply to the norms of that particular geography, which means 9-1, if it's operating in India, because in India still the nature of cryptocurrencies is still a bit confusing. There is no clear regulations. So this will be a completely different entity, which kind of makes sure that it has nothing to do with cryptocurrencies as such, but the whole platform on the back end is powered by Polytrade. So we use a cryptocurrency powered platform to enable a non-cryptocurrency onboarding that we can do across different geographies. So for this kind of a partnership, we've already kind of partnered with Marco5. Marco5, you can just Google up, and they're a Miami-based startup, heavily funded and operating out of the LATAM market, doing a similar kind of business, but non-cryptocurrency, right? So we're trying to talk to them and try to understand that we've already signed an MOU where they will get access to certain markets where we operate and use capital that we are raising from the crypto space to deploy it in the LATAM market. So it's not just in the digital space, because it's a real world business. There's a lot of real world interaction and contracts that have been signed as well.
I gotta say, after researching Polytrade and watching some YouTube videos, I did not get anywhere as close as much information from this conversation.
So the stages here are divided into two parts. The first is adding your buyer. The buyer is somebody like Walmart that I'm working with. And the second part is adding your invoice against this buyer. So to add the buyer, you can just add the buyer name. You can add his email ID. Right. Once I've added my buyer, I can add my invoice. So invoice supplier number would be the number that I have on my invoice from the real world. I can select my invoice. I can select the currency, the buyer that I have. All the buyers that I've added will be on a drop down over here. I can just select one of the buyers. I can select which amount I want to send. I mean, what is the amount of my invoice? Go in with my 31-day invoice. So 20. I can see what is the tenure. Once I've submitted the invoice on the client side, you will be able to see the overall invoices over here. So you can see an invoice has been submitted. You can view the invoice. Now you will need to give a limit to this invoice. Maximum limit you can give is the amount that he's asked for. If you go above higher, it will not take it. So let's say I want to do 30,000 for the invoice. I will approve this. I will approve this invoice for payment. Once I've approved this invoice for payment, on the other hand, I will be able to see the full stage, how my journey will go through. Right now, I'm in offer made, and which is in progress. I can come here. I can generate an offer. This is a second level of security where I unlock this, and I can now generate an offer. Let's say I generate this offer for, again, 31 days, and I just comment.
This basically is the place where we give the commercial aspects of how we are going to fund him, right? So if we are going to give at X percentage of interest to the borrower as such, that is exactly where we define, and also the what kind of fees that he needs to pay. So you can see all the different parameters that are there in terms of factoring fee, the advance amount, discount amount, etc. Right. So these are the commercial terms for the contract that I'm making with the invoice owner as such.
So once we are good with here, we can accept the offer and go to what? Documentation. So for documentation, we need some company documents. We will first do a certificate of incorporation. We add that. Then we need MOA. We can add an MOA. Then we need an audit report. We can go and add an audit report.
So another thing is, Dan, while this all might be daunting from a person who has not used the system before, people, the small and medium business owners are used to this kind of a mechanism whenever they need funds, right? So it is not something that they're not used to. It is second nature to them as part of doing business itself.
So I give my POA and POI, and I will just add director here. Once all this is done, I can go back to my dashboard. You will also see, I will get multiple emails for all the updates that are happening. So now we go to the admin and we see the offer. Now we're at company documentation. So these were the documents that were uploaded by this person. He's at pending. All the company details are here. Company addresses are here. You can approve this person after seeing the documents. If you want somebody to re-upload it, you can press the re-upload button. All the directors must be approved. We will verify this director. And once all directors are verified, you can now approve the stage. This is another stage where we are at. You can send a special request to require any document that you want. Let's say the document is X, Y, Z, and please, and then we send this. Now we can go here. We can go to the dashboard. And you will see a request here for invoice piece update. So I can just directly upload it over here. And once I've done that, I'll be able to see it. I will be able to see it over here. Once I'm satisfied with the document, I can just approve the stage. Now at this stage, we come into the pool governance step. This is where the token holders will govern. And I think I'll just pass through this for now. I think we can deep dive with this one later. We are now at the final offer. Now, this is where the governance that has worked in over this period and given us some pricing IDs. These IDs are approved by our credit team and our governance. So we have a set of 140 plus IDs. But according to the availability and the inputs that you've given, you'll be allowed to only work through these ones. So let's say we select.
So let me expand on this, right? So Dan, one of the major issues with traditional finance, invoice receivable financing, is a lack of transparency, right? So for example, if me and Ashish were two different suppliers, two different manufacturers, and going to the same bank with a particular invoice, we will never know if the rate that both of us will be getting is going to be the same, or why are they exactly different. And that lack of transparency is a major issue. So it creates a lot of unpredictability, right? I don't know at what rate I'm going to get the money from. And that's exactly why we have made sure that the algorithm that we're using to identify at what rate we need to fund this particular invoice is all coded on the blockchain. So any SMB, obviously they're not used to a crypto ecosystem per se, but anyone can go and check at what rate was this particular invoice financed, under what are the parameters. So if say a parameter of tenure was, instead of 60, it was 90, then the APR would move from say 8% to 9%, right? And there are different algorithms, different criteria based on which you would decide at what rate you would want to give. All of these have been kind of created by proper study of what the credit parameters are and how the risk should be underwritten as such. All of those evaluation has been done, and that is how this is being created. So in a traditional world, you never get visibility to that. Over here, it is going to be transparent. At any point, a person can come, interact with the smart contract, and actually identify at what rate they will be getting the funding itself.
So let's say you trigger the price and you will get a range for this particular system. So let's say I want to give him 75%, 6.55 over here, 1.2 over here, and 29 days over here. Let's say the bank charges for this one is 0 and the grace period is 2. We give him 2 days extra to pay back, and after that we will start charging him extra. we generate an offer. This offer is generated here. You will be able to see the offer once before you send it. The reserve ratio is 25%. Nothing can be edited, and you send it. Once it's sent.
What is reserve ratio?
So we hold some money from the advance. So we do not give out the full 100% of the invoice on day one. What we do is we give out some 85 to 90%, and we hold the 15% with us. And that is released on the day we get the money from the buyer. That is what
I see.
So as a person here, I can go on my invoice, and now I can see the final invoice. So I can see this final invoice. I can accept it over here. And as 28, 2 days, 0, 113, 27, 30,000. This is the amount that I will get in my hand for now. Okay. And once I'm happy with this, I can go and confirm. Once I've confirmed, we go to a stage called ARPA. ARPA is a stage with is a document that we send to the to the client. The client is somebody who's uploaded this particular invoice. This is a confirmation that we're taking from this person that you're okay with us getting the payment in a way, right? So we give out new bank account details and everything of that sort to the client. It's just a final confirmation on official legal papers that you're okay with taking the money and us taking it from the Walmart guy. So once I have uploaded the document, they can download it from here, upload the signed document over here. Today we are using an offline signature model, but we can also use DocuSign. So we go to ARPA. Once we are happy with ARPA, we can approve the stage. Now this is final invoice verification by buyer. What we have done in ARPA is taken an approval from the client that, okay, you're okay with everything here. He said yes. Now we'll do the same thing with Walmart. Hey, we have approvals from the buyers and everything looks good. We have validated him. Are you okay paying us, right? So once that document is...
Let me just expand on that, right? Yeah. So Dan, there are three parties right now, right? One, you have a manufacturer. Next, you have Walmart, who is actually buying the manufactured good, who is supposed to pay. And third, Polytrade is probably trying to get in between them, right? So Polytrade is is getting an agreement with the manufacturer saying that, manufacturer, I'm going to make you the payment for now because you're going to get paid only after 60 days. Are you sure that you are okay that I'm going to collect on your behalf from Walmart? So that after 60 days, the manufacturer should not say that's my money, right? So we're trying to get it written from him in an agreement that after 60 days, the money that we get from Walmart actually will come to Polytrade. That's how we actually make the money, right? And they say that is what we're calling as an ARPA document. And the other one is an invoice verification by the buyer. So Walmart also will sign that I am okay for making the payment to Polytrade instead of paying it to the manufacturer because I understand you've already made the payment, right? So all three parties have to understand that right now, Polytrade has made the payment to the manufacturer, but after 60 days, whenever Walmart is going to make the payment, that payment has to come to Polytrade. So this is just the legal documentation to cover all those aspects. Actually.
So we will just tell the system how we got this approval. Was it digital sign or offline sign? Let's say it was signed offline. We will go back here, and now we can see this approved. But I will not approve this because then we will go to the disbursement stage. This is the last three stages where now we disburse money to the client, where we collect the money and then we disburse the remaining refunds.
So basically, the disbursement part is where the money actually has to go to the bank account. It goes to an OTC desk and so on, right? So that kind of there are a few offline processes for us to be able to do that. Ashish, why don't you show the different stages of the invoice as such in the central console? So if you see, these are all the different steps that this particular process has to go through. So it is like we are almost building a mini ERP system to enable this particular set of transactions that the each invoice has to go through. So some of these have offline elements, some of these have on-chain elements, some of them have fiat bank account related elements, right? So, and typically this process, if you see in current scenario, most large players, because of the complex processes that they have, takes for a new person to onboard a new buyer, sometimes takes up to 2 to 3 months also. right, with very slow processes. Now we are trying to reduce that 2 to 3 month kind of a process within about 1 to 2 weeks as such at best. And if a person is able to get access to that capital, 2.5 months ahead of time, that's money that he can deploy for his next invoice, buy raw material for his next set of manufacturing that he has to do, right? So time is actually literally money here, and that's what we're trying to enable by automating the whole process as well, while also providing transparency and clarity of what the contract parameters are going to be. So I believe from a demo perspective, Dan, that is more so it will be, because then you have off-chain, offline elements of it that needs to be dealt with around bank transfers and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is comprehensive.
And then we have support for Zendex. I mean, Zendex for support.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think from a lender portal we can probably show that. So we've integrated it with ticket management service as well, where people can come and log in their tickets wherever any queries that they have when they're lending, and we'll be able to resolve them within the platform itself. So that's more or less. I mean, these are two portals that we have built. One for the lender, the person who's giving the money, and the other is the borrower or the SMB who's actually going to use the money. In the subsequent releases that we're doing in the next 2 to 3 months, we're also building the buyers portal, which is the portal that we talked about, where Walmart will actually be able to look at all the invoices that they have paid or they have to pay using the Polytrade system as such, right? So those are part of the roadmap that we're currently working on, Dan. So that's kind of overview of all the platforms that we will be launching in next 10 days or so. So we have a mainnet launch on January of 31st. The code is already deployed on the testnet per se. On 31st is when we're doing that, and mainnet launch on 31st. In fact, I believe, Dan, your channel is the first one where we are announcing the 31st Jan date of mainnet launch as such.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, but it might take me like 2 or 3 days to edit and censor some stuff. This is a long chat. But yeah, that was great. That was everything I needed to know and more. And yeah, there's just no competition in the space. I look at a lot of different projects. Not a lot of people are focusing on the small business. It's very difficult to do. It does have to be centralized to really walk them into the ecosystem.
And then if you see like this whole infrastructure, the architecture of this whole product is being designed because our team has actually done these jobs like for last 8 years, right? So we know what are the nuisances, what are the small things which may arise, and we have tried to enable everything possible into the...
Thanks for watching. You made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. I really appreciate that. And if you enjoyed it and want to learn more, check out the Polytrade social channels. And if there is someone else that I should interview that has great technology, please have them reach out in the Discord. Okay, catch you next time. That's not a great sign off, but that's what's happening.